Welcome back. My name is James and I run the Al-Maida Initiative. I spend a lot of my time getting Christians and Muslims together over food, helping Christians understand Islam and helping Muslims understand Christianity. I don't know if you're aware of this, but the Muslim world is currently going through a seismic shift in terms of how people interpret and practice religion. Parts of the Muslim world are going through massive leaps forward both in economy and education. But more than anything else, the internet is giving more people access to information than ever before. In many Muslim cultures, access to information about Islam has traditionally been very centralized, but now the toothpaste is out of the tube and a lot of normal Muslims are having to deal with issues that 100 years ago only scholars would have been talking about. Over the next 4 weeks, we're going to talk about the complexities the modern Muslim has to navigate in order to get their information about Islam. Next week, we'll talk about the Qur'an and the Sunnah. Then we'll discuss the scholars, then we will discuss the community. But today, I'm going to tell you a story. In 1999, a beautiful baby girl was born in Redmond, Washington near Seattle. Her parents had moved from Egypt 2 years previously after her father got a transfer from the Microsoft office in Cairo. Hafsa had rosy cheeks, deep black eyes, and dark brown curly hair, the pride of her parents. Her father's hard work meant that she grew up in a big house and their family had all they could possibly dream of. Unfortunately, Hafsa would never remember her parents' untainted American dream because she would only be 2 years old when the World Trade Center fell. 9/11 would hang like a shadow over her childhood. Most of the other kids at school were nice enough on the surface, but there would be enough underhanded comments that she knew something was off. One day, a boy in her history class told the whole group that Hafsa's dad was Osama bin Laden. The boy was made to apologize and things went right back to bubbling under the surface as Hafsa wondered if she actually belonged in the society that she was born in. Hafsa's mother taught her how to pray and how to recite the Qur'an in Arabic, and her father insisted that she honor her family, her culture, and her religion by working hard at school and being someone who makes a positive contribution to the society around them, showing others what a true Muslim looks like. Feeling like an outsider in school, aside from a couple of close friends, really pushed Hafsa closer to her extended family, aunts and uncles, some of whom had also made their way to America. Her cousins were constantly in her house, and there were always loud, animated conversations happening between her uncles and aunts. Her community took care of each other. They were there for each other. Relatives were always around when someone was sick or needed a job, and the food was always delicious. In contrast, many of her American friends came from broken families, and she's proud that her family's Islamic values held them all together so well. In addition to her family, the local mosque had a vibrant social scene. And while some Muslim countries don't allow women to go to the mosque, it is commonplace in Egypt, where Hafsa's family is from, so she would spend her time there as well. Driven by pride in her family and community, Hafsa became a high-achieving student, and then went to the University of Washington, 25 minutes from her home. Hafsa takes pride in being Muslim, in being Egyptian, and being American. If you live next to Hafsa, she's going to be an ideal neighbor. But obviously, that's not true of every Muslim. So what's the deal? Are people like the Iranian government or the Taliban representatives of real Islam? Or are people like Hafsa? One of the key misunderstandings Christians have about Islam is that it functions like Protestant Christianity, assuming that Muslims get all their information about religion from one book, which they either take seriously or ignore. You cannot understand Islam by only measuring on a simplistic conservative to liberal spectrum. If you want to understand Islam, you need to understand how the information ecosystem works in Muslim cultures. Hafsa recites the Quran in Arabic regularly, but she does not have any personal time where she studies it for information. Islam also has other key texts. If you are Sunni, there are 6 books of sayings and actions of Muhammad called Hadith that mainstream Sunni Islam believes are reliable. If you are Shia, these are considered unreliable, and instead collections of sayings attributed to Ali and his descendants are centered, such as Najul Balagha. Hafsa has never sat down and read any of these books. In fact, it's rare to meet a Muslim who has read all the way through even one of these Hadith books. There are many things that Hafsa believes and practices that come directly from the Islamic sources, such as the 5 pillars of Islam, most of her dietary practices, and smaller things like saying mashallah whenever something good happens to her, or saying inshallah when she's not planning on going to someone's party. But most of these things don't come to her directly from the Quran or the Sunnah. She instead absorbs them from a wide range of people. It's hard to blame Hafsa for her lack of contact with the Islamic source materials, because she's always been told there are lots of ways to misunderstand the Quran and the Sunnah, and if she doesn't have proper Islamic training, a person can get themselves into all kinds of trouble. So the average Muslim is often told to defer to the scholars and trust their interpretation of the Quran. Hafsa is told to focus on reciting the Quran, praying the 5 daily prayers, and doing good deeds. While Hafsa has grown up communicating in a spoken dialect of Arabic, she is not well versed in the formal modern standard Arabic, the modern academic language shared across the Arab world. She is even further removed from the classical Arabic the Quran is written in, which developed around the 7th century and no one really speaks anymore outside of academic circles. So it's not easy for her to understand. Instead, what she focuses on is learning to recite the Quran out loud. She outsources the interpretation to others. Join us next week and we're going to talk more about how the Quran and the Hadith fit into the big picture of how people construct their Islam.